obviously this was a game that a lot of guys here had circled when the schedule came out, knowing that Coach Payton, somebody that we all respect, um, got the job in Denver, and we were going to play those guys. So um, looking forward to it. It's going to be a good game. They're playing very well, um, and we're looking forward to the game.
Dan said the other day, right, Sean's coming in to embarrass us, and Alex said he's going to try to hang 50 on us. Like, can you just give us some insight into his personality, like why this friendly sort of rivalry, why he would want to, put it on you guys like that?
I think the one thing that Coach Payton, I think the number one thing, he's very competitive, highly competitive. And when you're built that way, man, you're always trying to, like, I don't want to say embarrass your opponent, but when you're always trying to play the game at the highest level. And I don't know if it's embarrassed is going to be is the word to use. I just think he's going to try to get those guys to play at a high level, just like we do. So we're going to go out there and try to get our guys to play at a high level also.
I was asking a couple of your guys about this yesterday, but Russell Wilson took a lot of heat last season for a down year.
Yeah.
Has bounced back in a big way this year. What are you seeing on film compared to the guy you were used to seeing in Seattle?
I think he's playing. I think he's playing confident. I think what the coaching staff have done with him is built a system that he's comfortable and allowing him to use his legs still, allowing him to throw the deep ball, which he's always been really good at. So that's something that we have to be very aware of in the secondary. So, man, you clearly see they built a system that helps him, and that's the reason why he's playing the way he's playing.
Mobility, the same threat it once was. I know he's never been a scramble first guy. He's always moved the pocket to open up lanes, but does he still present the same threat with his feet?
Listen, I think he does a really good job at that. And I know he picks his chances when he does run a run, and you really see it on third down in the red zone, which most quarterbacks do anyway. But he has that ability to escape. I mean, they have some read zone plays in there for him, which I would utilize his legs too. He's not just a statue back there. He's able to make some plays with his legs, and you see that happen in the games.
Opponents have been scoring on the defense.
Say it again.
Your opponents have been scoring at a high rate against the defense last few games. What gives you the most encouragement about what your defense is doing well right now?
All the little things that people really don't talk about. For example, now I talk to our guys about it, like these sudden changes that happen. That's a real thing in this league, and I think we're one of the better teams in that situation. And we do everything we can to get the ball back to our offense. The second thing is our run defense. Our run defense is still going at a high level. Our ability to not allow touchdowns at a high rate from outside of our red zone. The thing is, I try to make sure I point those things out to our players. The thing we want to do is make sure we look at those things, and the things that we're not good at, man, we continue to try to improve on those things. And the one thing I thought we improved on from last week is our red zone. And that's one of the issues that we've had, all year. And if we continue to improve the way that we improved last week, I think we'll be all good.
It seems like it at least, but do you feel like you've started to get some better play from the pass rush too? Maybe getting home a little bit more. I know they're getting some pressure early on, but doing some things here.
Man, that is something that we always work on. The thing is, we have Aiden, which people are gonna really look at him quite a bit to slide the line to him. And I think our guys are taking the challenge. We've challenged those guys to go out there and win their one-on-ones, and I think they did a pretty good job of that last week, and we're going to continue to look at that.
You gave Melifonwu a start this last game. What did you see on the practice field that wanted you to provide him that opportunity, and how do you feel he performed in the game?
Well, listen, that was something that we always wanted to get Iffy a chance to go out there and play. The thing is, he had the injury with his hand, and he's getting better with that. So we just thought this was the week to give him a chance to go out there and start and see how he did. I think he did a pretty good job. Listen, it's his first time starting in a while, and there were some mistakes in there, just like any other player would be. And I think he did a pretty good job. And we're going to continue to move in that direction, see how he do.
You think you'll continue to work in Vildor a little bit more, maybe rotate him and Jerry a little bit? What do you like about him, and why do you want to get him on the field a little bit more?
Well, I would say this about him. He's played like a good amount of football. In Chicago, actually played. I think he started there a couple of years. So he's a common presence. He's a guy that's been around, like I said before. He's very smart, and he understands exactly what we're doing. So we want to continue to try to utilize that. Listen, Jerry's not a guy that we're throwing away, and I don't want anybody to think that. Listen, there's still skins on the wall with that player also. Right, he's done some good things for us, but the thing is, man, we got to do everything we can to play at a high level, and we're going to continue to find the guys going to do that for us.
He doesn't maybe get the pub that some of the other top receivers in the league do, but Sutton's made some really impressive plays this year. Yeah, maybe just some thoughts on him and the dimension that he provides as a big body out there.
Listen, I'll take a look at like all the skill players for them. You have Sutton, you have Judy, you have 19 who can just run. Man, I have a lot of respect for this running back. Like he's a tough physical runner. So that's going to test our run game first and foremost. And then when it comes to Sutton, he's a red zone threat. He's a guy who can go up and catch the jump ball. And we know that that's one of Russell's best thing he do is throw the deep ball. So our guys are aware of that. We understand who he is as a player, but we also understand who the other guys are too, because Judy's going to do a really good job getting in and out of his cuts and try to create separation, try to catch and run and catch opportunities for him.
Feels like this might have been the best back-to-back stretch for Jack Campbell.
Yeah.
It's a young player that, every young player deals with the game coming at him pretty fast when they start. Do you feel like he's starting to turn corner? You see the game slowing down for him at this late stage of the season?
Listen, I thought the game earlier started to slow down for him. It's just the fact that, he's a rookie and he's going to make mistakes. Like, I don't know what this is that everybody thinks that he's going to go out there and be Jack Lambert, coming to this league. But it's not. It does not work that way, So he made his fair share of mistakes. He's always been a high-level player for us. And the more he plays, the more that he's going to get better, right? So that player just need reps. And I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. We look forward to that player continue to get better and continue to play for us.
Aiden Hutchinson, the stats haven't been there the way that they were last year.
Yeah.
And obviously he had the 4th and 13 when he jumped, got a lot of attention for that. How's he dealt with that, the stats aren't there for him and getting some kind of criticism sometimes when he doesn't produce as much? How's he dealt with that this year?
Listen, I said this to you guys before. When you're the second pick in the draft, when you come in and have the success he's had, the thing that comes with that is expectations and criticism. So he doesn't care, what people say. That's you guys' job is to make him go here, make him go there. But he's not. He's going to always be there. So, and I always talk to him about that, as a former player, that's just, it's part of the job. But man, listen, that player's made a lot of plays for us. And listen, everyone's on him for the fact that he made those plays. Listen, it was a mistake. He owned up to it, and man, we're moving on. And I want him to understand that and operate like that, because those mistakes that he made, there's a ton of other plays that he made for us, and I try to have him to focus on those things, not those mistakes.
The touchdown the Fields ran at the end when Hutchinson ran that stunt.
Yeah.
What guardrails do you have in place to make sure, like, time of game, that doesn't happen, I guess, right?
Well, the thing is, there are opportunities for our players to make calls within the call, because we believe in our players and they're smart players. The one thing that happened in that game is, man, obviously they were sliding to Hutch. Man, Hutch was out there to try to make a play on that play. It was 3rd and 11. Man, he was trying to get to the quarterback, which that's what he likes to do. All D linemen like to do. Man, he made the mistake of calling a text game. And once he called a text game, the center slid to him, and it was hard for Levi to actually contain the football, and the quarterback got out. So, listen, like I said, he said it was a mistake. It's all good. We're moving on. And I tell you what, he's going to make more plays and mistakes that he's ever going to make in this league.
Trying to make a play ultimately at the end of the day with that. Is there, I don't know, was part of that trying to, because he had the offsides penalty, was part of that like, man, I got to do something?
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't think he's got out there trying to go rogue right there. I mean, it was part of the call that he can make a call within that call. And he made the call, and then it was the wrong call, and it was over.
Quickly about Brian Branch. I think he played 90% of your snaps 5 or 6 games before last week. It's closer to 50 this week. Is that a game plan specific thing, or are you dialing it back a little bit with him for any particular reason?
The thing that I want to do with that player is let him focus in on one job. I mean, I look at it the same way when I had Chauncey, all right, when I was in New Orleans. Listen, he was playing some safety, playing some nickel. Man, there was a lot within that because of what we asked, like, those guys at that position to do. So I want to make sure that I dial it back for him, let him focus on nickel, let him play nickel. And I thought it was a really good game for him, or as far as the stats, because he didn't get a chance to be productive like he's been. But I thought he did a really good job in just playing nickel. And also, I want to make sure if he got as many reps he could at the safety spot.
Early in the season, Branch was making a lot of plays in that concentrated role.
At the nickel role.
Yeah, in those
Yes.
games where he was playing 100%, he was seeing a little bit more free safety. You were moving around a little bit.
Yeah.
Just felt like it was a little too much on his plate.
No, I don't want to
Time.
say that. Those are just
Okay.
decisions that I want to make, so he can concentrate on the nickel spot and really get that down because he's a damn good player at that spot, and I want to make sure he plays as much as possible and be the best at it.
You mentioned Jet Campbell and Jack Lambert. The expectation, is it fair when people say, "Hey, Ben's getting all this out of Laporta. Why isn't AG getting this out of Jack Campbell?" Is that fair, or is it just way too much apples and oranges?
Then you guys say that Jack had his best 2 weeks, right?
He's played well, sure. Played well.
So I think we're getting everything out of him. All right.
Oh no. Gosh, there's silence.
I don't know, last week maybe the miss didn't look like a great snap. I think there might have been one earlier. I don't know if it was a snap or not. Just didn't really see the replay, but it looked like the laces were.
Yeah, I think on the missed PAT, obviously the snap wasn't perfect. It was a little bit far outside of us, a little bit low. I think overall McQuaid has done a nice job of getting back here. Obviously, he had not been playing for a little while, not making excuses. But I'm not really concerned about it. If you're going there, not at all. I think he'll just continue to get better and better and back in a rhythm and a groove. And then I did think Fox did a great job of getting the ball back up for us, and he's done a great job all year. And I've talked a lot about him because when I first got here 3 years ago, I did not think he was great at holding and thought it was an area he could really improve in. And ultimately, he got the ball down. And I think, like I said, I don't know, a year ago or 2 years ago, like in my opinion, if you're the snapper, you got to think, hey, I got to be better than that. Obviously, your goal or your standard is perfection. And I know that McQuaid feels that way. And then if you're Fox, you got to say, hey, no matter how that ball gets back there, it's my job to get that thing down and the laces right. And I think he did a good job with that. And then if you're the kicker for Riley in that situation, to me, you're saying, hey, they got the ball down and it wasn't a perfect snap, but they got the ball down. I got to make the kick. So if you're him, I think you got to feel like, hey, I got to make that kick. In that situation. Then if you're me, you say, hey, well, we got to be better than that collectively as a unit or a group. And then that comes back to me ultimately there. So I think if everyone takes responsibility, it's just like anything, we'll be in good shape. If we don't, and we're all looking for an excuse, we'll find it wherever we want it.
Green Bay too.
Yeah, he's got 2 missed PATs on a year. I think he's sitting at like 94%. I'd love to tell you it was 100. I think 94 is kind of around average. I'm not saying that's good, and I'm not saying that's what we're shooting for, but ultimately there is some reality out there that you'd love these guys to all be perfect, but they're not. All of them aren't. But yeah, at the end of the day, obviously we're striving for better than that for sure.
No, you never want to see Jack Fox make a tackle. What would you think of this effort there?
Yeah, I definitely don't want to see that, although I do think that he did a great job filling up in there. I mean, and I feel like probably for him, he probably feels a little bit a part of the play. We didn't cover as well as we wanted to. There was a number of things that happened, and they did a nice job. But there was a number of things that happened, but it was also probably not the best ball for him. He was trying to push the ball out there a little wider to the right. It kind of got down the middle of the field. And I think when something like that happens, it was probably a little bit of him saying, man, I know I didn't hit my best ball. Let me go make something happen and help fix the problem. But I did think it was a nice job by him filling up in there.
We're hitting on a few inconsistencies here. Probably wasn't your group's best effort on Sunday. How do you respond as a coach when maybe the standard dips a little bit in a given week?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't disagree with that. We had some good plays. We had some bad plays in the course of the game. I think it's a little bit, really, to be honest. To me, that's like reality. That's the real world. That's life, man. And this game, that's the thing that's so great about the game of football, in my opinion, is it's so much like life. Everybody wants to wake up and have a great day every day, but the reality is there's going to be ups and downs throughout the course of the day. and I think you got to find ways to overcome that, both mentally and then physically. And in terms of like for us, how do we improve? I think what you do is you look at yourself and you find how can I be better. And if everybody looks at himself and says, how can I be better, and holds himself accountable to it, then I think you got a chance to make your day better or make the play better or whatever it is. But so ultimately, it's a good test for us. I mean, I'm not discouraged at all. I think we got a great group who overall plays hard. They're trying to do the right things all the time. I can coach better. They can play better sometimes. Obviously, we don't like to be inconsistent, but I think overall these guys have gone out and given a good effort, and those guys made a play.
Peyton famously had the onside kick in the Super Bowl years ago. Just wondering, A, your recollections of that, just being in your position and what you kind of thought of that, and then B, do you sort of be prepared for anything this week?
Yeah, so this week's definitely one of those be prepared for everything. Not that you're not trying to do that every week, but I think knowing your opponent is part of it. And this is a group that's obviously very aggressive. Not only did he hit the onside kick in the Super Bowl, but he hit the onside kick to open up their season here this year. So that's obviously been a part of them and him. And then, they got Westhoff's over there as their kind of, I don't know, special teams coordinator or whatever they call him. But the bottom line is he's been an aggressive play caller, a coach for a long time, and done a lot of different things throughout the years. So we certainly got to be ready for everything. At the same time, we got to play on the attack, and we got to go out there and play to win. I don't think you can play on your heels, but you definitely have to put yourself in a good position for all the different possibilities that could come up. In terms of my recollection of that play, I just remember thinking, God, it was a gutsy call, and those guys nailed it and got it, and it was incredible. Obviously, swung that game a little bit. So,
Marvin Mims is averaging 31 yards per kick return, one special teams player of the week. He's having a solid year for a rookie. What type of challenge does he present for you guys?
yeah, I think Mims, we've gone against some good returners last week. I thought, Vellis and Taylor 15, those guys both did a nice job for those guys. Mims obviously handles both for them. He's talented, man. He's got a lot of speed. He can run. He likes to run around just the whole coverage group. But he'll hit it up inside too. The guy's a complete player. Obviously, he's having a good year. We just got to do a good job of taking care of him in both phases, really. Keep him bottled up and do a good job of taking away what he does best. And that'll come from the whole group, whether it's, talking punt, and it'll be hang time placement of the punt. It'll be the coverage group being in the right spots, the right side doing their job on the right side, the left side. A lot of his returns have end up winding back to the backside. He had a touchdown return against Miami early in the year. So that helps his average go way up, obviously. But anyway, the guy's a very talented player.
You guys,
Good.
you guys passed up a 52, 53-yard field goal opportunity last week. I know those decisions aren't made in a bubble. Sometimes it's weather, game situation, that sort of stuff. But is there, a maximum length that you're comfortable with trotting out Riley there in an average game?
Yeah, I would say there is. Now, what is that number? Obviously, I wouldn't say that. But I do think that it is really a number of things that factor into it, and you hit on it. I mean, I think in the last game, the ball was on the 35-yard line, so it'd be a 53-yard attempt from there, outdoors with some wind, and it wasn't bad, but there's definitely a factor. It was cold. The ball didn't travel as well. I don't think either team was going to attempt a field goal from that position on the field. And just a normal situation, maybe at the end of the game where you need it, something like that, it would be different. But I would say in general with the long field goal, I think what you're seeing around the league, and certainly for us, there's a multitude of things that come into play. You're talking about down distance. You're talking about likelihood of making a field goal. I think the NFL average, is like 68% from 50-plus yards. So over 30% of the time you're not making it. And not only are you not making it, but you're giving them 8 yards of field position because the ball goes to the spot of the kick, not the line of scrimmage if you miss. So now that factors into it, and then it's like 4th and 3, 4th and 4, 4th and 12. Maybe that's different. Score of the game, time on the clock. an opportunity to go for it and put 6, 7, or 8 points on the board versus 3. So I think there's a lot more that's going into that decision than ever. I think you're seeing a lot of teams go for it more than ever. It's taken some field goal attempts away, and certainly some of those longer attempts. And then obviously your kicker factors into that too. Is this guy a great long range kicker or not? That's not his strength or whatnot. And I think so that factors into it.
Actually, going to build on the same topic. I mean, you've talked about Riley's heartbeat, staying level all the time. But does that ever come into play of impacting his confidence when you don't go to him in those situations over the course of a season? Maybe not that game, but I don't think he's ever attempted one of a 52 for you guys.
I honestly don't know the answer to that. You'd have to ask him. I can't really speak on his confidence, but I think he understands that we're doing what we think's best to try to win the football game. I don't think he questions that.
Alabama, that game making the playoffs now.
Oh yeah, man. What was great about that is it's a good question because it was incredible. I mean, it was one of the weirdest moments. I guess I'm getting older, believe it or not, but I mean, I don't feel like it. But no, so we were playing New Orleans, and they were playing that game, and we had got down to New Orleans, and she actually drove to New Orleans to watch us play the Saints. So she drove in for the game, stayed with us in the hotel and all that stuff. It was incredible. So her and I got to watch most of that game together, which was kind of fun. And then, I mean, it was just surreal seeing her, there with me. I'm thinking, gosh, man, this makes me a little bit older than I think I am. But yeah, it was incredible having her there. I appreciate her coming, and she's excited. I don't think she's going to. They play in Pasadena, right? She's not going to the game, but she'll be watching us. All right, take care.
Hey, fellas, how we doing? Good. All right, go ahead, fire away.
Them and just their defense and how well it's played over the last 7-8 weeks. I think 16 points a game. One thing is the takeaways that probably jumps out. Just how big of an emphasis has that been for you guys this week? I mean, they have takeaway Thursdays at practice. They show all their turnovers, to the team meetings. They really focus on how good you guys have to be in that regard.
That's not just this week for us. That's really been the last few weeks for us where that's been everything. We emphasize it. We drill it. Unfortunately, over the last 4 weeks, we haven't done a good enough job with our ball security. And we know this team is feast or famine. When they get the takeaways, they capitalize on it, and they're winning ball games because of it. And so we're highly aware of it. We got to do a better job protecting the ball this week than we have the last 4 games. They aren't just good in their takeaways. I think the other thing that stands out to me, the last 8 weeks, they're the number 1 third down defense in the NFL. So they're doing a great job stopping offenses when they get them into that situation. And so we got to be on point here on third down this week. The good news for us is we've been trending up in our third down conversion rate over the course of the season. So it'll be a good challenge.
What do they do so well to create those takeaways? Like when a defense is on a heater like that, getting as many as they have, what do you see on film that they are doing so well that then you can say, we got to combat that?
Yeah, I think in traffic, they really emphasize with their guys to punch at the football, strip it out. I know, I think it was the first play of the game, was at Buffalo, first play of the game, the running back's running along the sideline, and sure enough, it just, boom, they're going for it, and they recover the ball quickly. So you can tell that they're harping on it. Vance does a heck of a job with those guys. They're playing very hard. They're rallying to the ball. There's traffic around the ball. There's population. And so we have to counter that by not only protecting the football in traffic, but having our own population come to the party as well.
Bring a little boxing gloves this week.
Yeah, we might have some boxing gloves there this week. Yeah.
We obviously don't know what Decker's stats will be by the time Saturday rolls around, but regardless of whether he plays or not, you've played 9 different offensive line combinations, potentially a 10th this week. Can you just explain as a play caller, game planner, just what kind of challenges is that, even with having the persistent next man up mentality?
I would be lying to you if I said I don't think about those things. I think you have to when you're calling plays. If you're a little bit nervous about so-and-so's matchup on so-and-so going into the week, and then it maybe someone's struggling early in the game. You just want to provide a little bit more help for them. That's something that we're always talking about. We're always thinking about. Shows up in the protection game, certainly up front. And then in the run game, too. We try to find favorable matchups and angles for our guys to execute their jobs. So that happens on a weekly basis. It doesn't matter if we have our starting five in or if we have backups in, but we're always conscious of those matchups and how we can put them in good spots. And the course of the game kind of dictates that too. We make our adjustments as the game goes and try to help guys out. But when you do that, you don't want to take away from still attacking the defense or getting the ball into somebody's hands that might be able to make a big play for you. And so that's been a balancing act over the last few weeks.
Our skipper and Sorsdale, is that, I don't know, how do you handle that position if you can't go?
Yeah, we got skippers. Sorsdale played some tackle. Heck, Yode's even played some tackle going way back. So we've got some options there. Skipper played a healthy amount of snaps last week as a jumbo tight end, so he's primed and ready to go if called upon.
When the offense doesn't have the game you wanted to have last week, Dan said it was more execution than play calling. I think the film showed that as well. But when it boils down to execution and a block is missed or a throw is missed or a drop catch, like how much do you take that element of the game personally as a coordinator, and what do you do to, I guess, elevate the execution at this late stage of the season, the fundamental stuff?
I boil my job down to two things. One is getting guys in a favorable position. All right, so can we get our skill guys in space with the ball to do something with it, or help them get open in their route running? And then up front, we already talked about in protection, can we get favorable matchups or double teams for them to pass protect, or the angles in the run game? And so that's the first thing I look at when you evaluate the film. Shoot, last week there's a couple third down plays where, man, there's not a lot of good answers there for the quarterback. And so that's where I got to take it. We try to minimize those as a coaching staff each and every week. Tanner does a heck of a job helping me with the passing game, and we take a lot of pride trying to get our primary receiver open every week. That's a hard thing to do, though. And so we need someone to get open over the course. So that's number one. And then at the end of the day, it's when you're looking at the execution part of it, we have to ask ourselves as coaches, are we installing it and are we teaching the concept well enough to where maybe it's not the ideal defense for what we're trying to get done, but can we still execute and understand the overall intent and the big picture? And so some of those, with the teaching of the play, we could be a little bit better over the course of the week. So yeah, we always look inwardly first and foremost when the players aren't executing at the level that we think that they are capable of.
Package last week where Sewell shifted over to the left side, Decker was outside. I don't know if you're setting something up that maybe didn't appear or didn't come in the game for later, but if when cases like that happen where maybe the game script gets away from you, you don't get to something that you have put in for a certain package, do you come back to that in different weeks? How do you sort of make sure that the thing that you're building up to, you can eventually hit it?
Yeah, I think each week's a little bit different than the next, but we certainly do try to build on what we put on tape. Last week, it was a circumstance. That was a really good run defense. I think at the time they were ranked number one, and one of the things we were looking to do is let's get Jonah, let's get Panay, and let's get Deck all together, and let's get some of our best run blockers together and see what we can get done. And I think one of those sets we ended up popping the 36-yard run to Gibby. So each week's its own story, but certainly we may build off that package. There you go.
Here's about a very specific play call, just the flexibility players have to modify things. The first interception Jared threw on the 4th and 10, you flooded that side of the field, and they rushed a lot, so there wasn't a whole lot of coverage. It looked like had Laporta sat down, he might have, you might have had a shot on that play instead of forcing it into a tight window. Does he have the flexibility, particularly as a rookie, to modify the route? We hear that sometimes with Kelsey and Mahomes about just seeing something and making an adjustment on the fly. Is that something?
It depends on the type of route that it is. That particular instance, Jared was looking to back shoulder him, and it didn't work out for us. They did a nice job in coverage.
How much can play calling influence turnovers?
I don't know that, to be honest with you. I think if you end up being too conservative and sheltered, then you're not really attacking the defense at all levels, and the results won't be quite what you like. So, truth be told, that's not something. Listen, Jared's going to throw interceptions occasionally, and I know he's going to bounce back from them too. He'll come back and he'll play his best football normally coming off those interceptions. So I'm not worried about that. I've been with him now for 2.5 years. I know how he responds to that type of adversity. 4th and 10, that's a tough situation. He's trying to make a play. End of the game, we get a 4th and long. Same thing. He's trying to make a play. Those are ones we can live with. And truth be told, I've been around quarterbacks that'll turn down those types of throws because they're trying to help their stats. But he's playing the situation. He's playing ball, and he knows that in order to make a play, he's going to have to put the ball in a little bit of jeopardy. So I respect that, and I think his teammates respect that too.
At all? I mean, is he still playing at the high level that we thought he was early in this year? Do you see Jared that is?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, he is still playing at a high level. You look at the interceptions over the last 4 weeks, and like I said, some of them were the 4th downs early on. We had a couple, like Laporta runs into the safety, gets thrown off his route, ends up being a pick. So some of those happen, and then a couple of them that he wants back. So that's the nature of the business. And he's been really good over the last 1.5 years taking care of that football. We don't want him to lose his aggressiveness when it comes to throwing the football. 4th and 3 is a good example of that. He finds DPJ for a huge play on 4th and 3 last week, and that's about as tight of a window that you could throw it into. So we don't ever want him to lose that.
That play, there was the Amon-Ra play the week before, there was the Sam one he threw into a really tight window. It seems like Jared has become more comfortable throwing it into those tight windows during his time here. Is that a point of emphasis with you, just trusting, you're getting your quarterback to trust their skill set, trust their skill players to take those shots?
Yeah, and that's, as we developed a passing game, it's the timing, it's the anticipation, it's the trust between him and the route runners. And if you want to look at, I'll open this one up for you guys. Like, if you want to look at, hey, where have we trended a little bit backwards over the course of the season? It's been our base pass game. Some of our staples that we have been doing in spring, training camp, and all season long, they showed up last week in particular, where, God, we're not doing what we said, how we installed it, how we said we're going to do it, how we've been doing it, how we got banked reps on, and it's come back and bit us in the rear end. We've been in some 2nd and longs, and those 2nd and longs have become 3rd and longs because we haven't executed well on 2nd and longs. So, listen, it's all fixable. These guys know, they know how we can get better and how we can improve, and we're looking forward to an opportunity to do that.
Do you change something about those staples, or you just go back to the fundamentals of the staples and say, hey, we just need to do X better, and that way it works?
A little bit of both. Thank you.